I have no tripod.
Oh,
I don't know where we put it.
You're right. And you. Okay. Yeah.
So
Well,
there's-
good thing I brought the tripod.
I know, it's amazing you brought the tripod.
Last chance. Come on over to the raffle table and do what Tom's doing and buy yourself a couple raffle tickets. Let's do this. Right, yeah.
Actually, what he was, I thought, referencing was they're on the program. They're doing their
So I can. So if I just, I can say GD Zeta has,
exchange.
right. Like what I'm trying to do is just make.
And the advisor and several students in he would just have introduction will be introduced later.
Okay, but I should introduce.
Karu Amano. He's our
Introduce.
exchange.
Yeah. So I'll introduce Caro, and I'll say that you have several other people here from the program.
Okay.
Great.
Hello, sir.
Hey, Joe.
How are you?
Fantastic. There you go. Thank you so much.
Welcome, everybody. If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. I don't have a bell, but I do have this disc of wood. We all rise. Welcome to the January 29th meeting of the Rotary Club of Tucson. It is time for our pledge and song. I want to invite up Dwayne Whitaker, who joined our club May 31st, 2024. His classification is medical and healthcare, Banner University of Arizona Cancer Center physician. He went to the UofA and University of Iowa. Dwayne.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, if you will lead me in God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
You guys, you all sound great today. Maybe we'll go a cappella every time. Or maybe not. So to start, there's going to be some cards going around. You guys are chatty today. My goodness. We're passing out pixie sticks and Smarties at the door. What's going on? There's going to be cards going around. Well wishes to Jim Rubianis, who broke his leg and will not be attending meetings for a little while. So please sign those cards. And also, well wishes and prayers for Frank Dahl's wife, Sandy. She has stage 4 cancer, so Frank has asked for anybody who does, please be, just ask for many prayers for Sandy. I may be a little cranky today. I just want to warn you, my bedtime is 8:30, and the other night there was this basketball game on that I decided to watch. And not only did I decide to watch, I decided to go into overtime. I have no regrets losing that sleep, because wasn't it fantastic? Next, I would like to welcome up the infamous, the more than famous Jeff Ronstad for inspiration. Jeff joined our club August 9th, 2006. His classification is Insurance and Risk Management Health, Ronstad Insurance Company, and he went to University of Arizona. Jeff?
Go Wildcats. Thank you, President Curtis. So I have two inspirations today.
60 seconds.
Hold on, let me set my watch. Okay. But I have a fun one and I have a deep meaning one, and I think I'm going to go with the fun one. But just as an aside, has anyone in here ever read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning? If you haven't, you got to read it. It's awesome. All right, so I'm going to go with a fun one. This is a story I used to tell my kids. A group of frogs was traveling through a forest looking for a pond. While on their journey, 2 frogs fell into a deep hole. As they tried to escape, the other frogs gathered around and proclaimed how impossible it would be to escape. The 2 frogs ignored them, and they kept trying to jump out of the hole, but eventually one of the frogs gave up. But the other frog kept jumping and jumping as hard as it could. And after a big struggle, that frog made it out of the hole alive. Surprised, the other frogs asked him, how'd you do it? I mean, this is amazing. How'd you do it? I mean, we've been telling you to give up, no hope. And the frog explained, well, you know, that hole was so deep that I couldn't hear what you were saying, and I just assumed that you were all cheering for me. So the moral is people's words can make a big impact on our attitude and behavior. And it's important to ignore naysayers in life and focus on the positive support you have around you.
Thank you, Jeff. Next, I'd like to welcome up our Sergeant at Arms, Chris Dodge, joined our club February 13th, 2020. Entertainment music. Just had an amazing Tucson Jazz Festival. Hopefully he's recovered. He went to the University of Arizona. Chris?
Thank you, President Curtis. So I'm going to announce some guests, and when I announce your name, please stand up so we can say hello to you. So guest of Jeannie Zita, say hello to our exchange student, Cairo Amano. Hi, Cairo. Jeannie has several other folks from Pima JTED with us here today, and we'll introduce all of you later in the program when she talks about you. Guest of Marcy Euler, say hello to Kevin Barker. Where are you? He's right there in the back. Hey, Kevin. And a guest of Roger LaFay, Gordy Seward. Hi, Gordy. Guest of Chuck Sawyer, Tom Eef. He told me his last name rhymes with both beef and grief, so you guys decide. But that's good mnemonic device, guys. Guest of Doc Kretz, say hello to Terry Flores. Hey, Terry. There you are. Thank you, Terry. And guest of Cammie Evans, say hello to Gwen Goebel. Hi, Gwen. Guest of Dorvita Parker Harris, say hello to Jeffrey Harris. Hey, Jeffrey. Guest of John Wong, say hello to Chuck Sobolos. Hey, hello, Chuck. Guest of Roger LaFay, say hello to Greg Dernan. He's right over there. Hey, Greg. Guest of, those are more of your guests, Jeannie, so we're going to get to those later. And I have a page 1 I've missed. We have some fellow Rotarians here, all the way from Boulder, Colorado. Say hello to Alan Fields. Hi, Alan. And from Camden, South Carolina, say hello to Susan and Jim Witkowski. Welcome to the club, guys. And And that's all I have on guests. Yes. Thank you all for being here. I'm staying up.
You want me to do the whole thing?
No, don't do it
You
again.
sure?
Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, do your thing.
And now to introduce our program, Chris Dodge.
Oh, yeah. All right. Wow. That's what was unexpected. I didn't knew that was going to happen. So I have an admission here that I don't particularly like baseball. And don't boo me. I find it, but several years ago, and you'll see where I'm going here in a couple minutes. Several years ago, I went to a baseball, I was going to say game. You know the world I live in. I went to a baseball game with someone who was an expert in the field, and I was in awe. Yeah, someone who knew baseball inside and out, and they led me through it, and they explained, and I was a fan. Because and sometimes that happens, right? I think we've all had those moments when you're sitting next to somebody or someone that really knows what they're doing, and you become an instant fan. Well, our guest today is in that world. So how many of you guys here, show of hands, have discovered gold or silver in Central Park in New York City? Anybody? No one. None of you guys have. Well, our guest speaker today, he has done that. Or at least he thought he did when he was a young kid. And what I like about that story is the awe and wonder that Alex possessed at an early age about what would become eventually the subject material of his life studies and career. Of course, I could tell you about his PhD from the Department of Behavioral Sciences from California Coast University, as well as his many other postgraduate study programs at multiple universities. I counted about 8. I could tell you that he is a Google Scholar with over 7,000 citations, or he ranks in the top 2% of researchers in his scientific field, or that he has 356 peer reviews, or that he has authored over 213 papers, 28 chapters, and 23 books. But why would I do that when we are in the presence of someone who discovered gold and silver at 7 years old in Central Park? No, and I could go on about his academic affiliations throughout his career. Again, I counted over 20, or how many professional memberships he currently holds, 17 plus, or has held in the past over 18. But I won't. He discovered gold. And while you may be thinking that he is an underachiever at this point, which I think you might, I won't bring up the fact that in his spare time, he is a judge of competitive displays of minerals at the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. I think one of the biggest gem and mineral shows in the world, at last time I count. And that he's the founder and CEO of AIBMR Life Sciences here in Tucson. And that he, along with his wife, are certified United States track and field officials, or that he and his wife are very active in removing invasive buffalo grass from the Saguaro National Park or other areas in our town. No, he discovered precious metals when he was 7 years old, folks. And I probably shouldn't mention that he is a Paul Harris Fellow and is a founding member of the Rotary Club of International Exchange in Reno, Nevada, because that probably carries no weight in this room, right? But more. No, I'm going to keep this short because I could go on longer. But I know all of us here that we are always honored and enthralled when we are in the presence of someone who is a true expert in their field. And our guest definitely is the gold standard. See what I did there? Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big welcome to fellow Rotarian, Dr. Alexander Schauss.
Yeah, it was gold and silver. I'm telling you, I thought for sure. And I showed up at the museum, the American Museum of Natural History. My good friend, Sammy Lopez, he had arrived from Puerto Rico. He was just learning English. I had just arrived from Germany, so we're immigrants from Germany, and so we're learning English in school. And we met with the curator at the museum. We showed him the specimen that we had knocked out in Central Park from a big rock formation. And he looked at it and he said, "Alex, it's a nice specimen." I looked at Sammy and I said, "Sammy, We came all the way here to the American Museum of Natural History to meet this man, and he's going to tell us it's a nice specimen. Mister, is it gold or silver? Ah, he said. He took out a piece of paper and he wrote down G-N-E-I-S-E. And I said, the guy can't even spell nice because it's G-N-E-I-S-E. And I said, we need to leave. We're wasting our time. And Sammy said, hold on. And he said, oh, I know. You don't know it's a schist. And I looked at Sammy, I said, not only can't he spell, but he's using foul words now. We're getting out of here. And as we were leaving, he suddenly said, no, kids, come back. And he opened up the doors to the Gem and Mineral Museum. And he took us over to the right side, and there was a long case. And these were the minerals that were discovered in Manhattan, where we were growing up. And I saw this big gemstone about this side. And I said, what's that? He said, oh, that's a garnet. It's the biggest one we've ever found in North America. I said, where'd you find that? In Manhattan, right? And he said, between 89th and 88th Street, between Amsterdam and Columbus. And Sammy and I looked at each other. That's where we live. Well, we went over to the superintendent's house in the tenement house that we were living in at the time, and then we asked for some hammers. You know the rest of the story, what happened, and the spanking I got from my dad for tearing up the backyard while we were looking for that next garnet. But it taught me a lot, and fortunately he said, come on back anytime you want, and over the next 8 years, he mentored me in rocks and minerals. And so, of course, years would go by, and starting in 1969, I started coming here to Tucson, to the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. I was a member, I lived in Tacoma, Washington at the time, of the Puyallup Gem and Mineral Club, and everybody was bragging about this wonderful show in Tucson. And so I started coming every single year for all these years, usually arriving in early February because there weren't 50 shows like there are now. There were just a few shows, and all of it was pretty well around the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show, which later found its home, I think, in 1972 in the new Tucson Convention Center. Now, the club that started this, they were founded in 1946. That's the Tucson Gem and Mineral Society. And they're one of the societies of the American Society of Mineralogical Societies in the U.S., or this federation would organize these clubs all across the country, and it would give all collectors and hobbyists and dealers an opportunity to gather at different locations all over the country to show all of their beautiful material. But Tucson got the reputation of getting the best of every collectible from museums and collectors worldwide. And as a result, over time, it really started to grow. And by the mid-1970s, it was considered the largest show for gem minerals, fossils, and the list goes on. Beads, for example, I know hundreds of people that come just for beads here. Who do you think makes all of the beads that we might see all around the world? They come right here from Tucson. And the fossil, if you ever wondered if fossils were worth any money, we just had a fossil sold just a few weeks ago for $36 million. So, yeah, keep digging up there in Wyoming. There's some more up there. So, I want to tell you a very quick story on Rotary. I used to be very, very active in Rotary number 8. Rotary number 8 was founded by Rotary number 4, which is Seattle, which was founded by Rotary number 1, which is Chicago. And one day, I'm sitting at a table, just like we all are, and it'd been pretty much the same people sitting around the same table, so I got to know everybody by their first name. And there was one gentleman who always showed up and said, Alex, I forgot my $5. Later, it got up to $8. I gave him a 10, and, he said, don't worry, I'll pay you back. Well, after a while, I started thinking, this guy owes me $70, $80 now. And also, every time we went up in the car, he had the oldest car that would go underneath the Tacoma Sheraton, parking lot. And I kind of felt sorry for him. And he never dressed up very much, never saw him in a tie or a fancy suit, or anything like that. And one day he went up, I was the chair of the Community Services Committee, and one of the things that we do is we find something, a project in the community that would have an impact. And I thought that battering wives was a big issue. We had two military presence. Think of Fort Lewis, McChord Air Force Base. People coming back and sometimes assaulting their spouses and children. And I learned about a lady who was running a little facility. And she was, I think, handling about 6 or 7 different families, and kids and wives. And I said, why don't we set up a facility so that women who are in this predicament can find a safe haven and then figure out how to get the families together or figure out what to do from that point on. So we decided to work on it. We found a house. The house would cost us $750,000. So I figured that it would take us 2-3 years to pay this off. Gentleman went up there who was sitting at my table. His name was Frank, and I never knew his last name until all of a sudden he came up and he put a $1,000 bill. When's the last time you've seen one of those? And put it in the community chest. And I told everybody at the table, I said, I'm going to tell him to take that out of there and put $10 or $20 in there. And he said, Alex, he can afford it. I said, no, he can't. Of course, nobody knew that he kept bothering, asking me for money over the years. So I said, really, he shouldn't do that. When he comes back, I'm going to tell him, take it out and put something else in there. And everybody kept insisting, Alex, don't even worry about it, he can handle it. I say, okay, fine, no problem. And he was telling about a fishing trip he took in Baja, and he caught this big fish, and et cetera. So he comes back to the table, and I said, Frank, I'm going to ask you to take that 1,000 out and put 20 in there. And he looked at me, he says, oh, I bet you, I'm going to tell you what. And he goes out in his wallet, here's a $100 bill, I think that takes care of all of that money that I owe you. I said, wow, you sure got rich pretty quick, didn't you? And what I didn't know, when somebody at the table was telling me, his name is Frank Russell. Frank Russell was the executive director of the Tacoma Urban League. Now, I knew that person's salary was about $23,000 a year. And so, once again, I'm telling him, put the money away, forget about it, I can afford, lose some money. And he said, no, I am Frank Russell. I said, sir, I know you're Frank Russell now. I didn't know that all these years that we've been sitting together at the table. And then somebody looked at me and said, Alex, are you kidding me? You don't know that that's Frank Russell? I said, what is this Frank Russell story about? And they said, Alex, do you know the Russell Index in the Wall Street Journal and in Barron's? That's Frank Russell. He owns the 22-story building here. Oh. Well, when I came to this club, I noticed you have last names. So at least now you know that when you're sitting next to people, you're not sitting next to a Frank Russell, right? Right? Okay. Let's talk about this. This is a wonderful story of what has gone on in this community. And so I'm going to share with you right off the bat a couple of very quick things. When I first moved here from Tacoma about 16 years ago, I was asked by the Geoscience Department, I became a research associate there, to prepare a paper on all of the minerals for all 50 states. And so, guess what? Arizona's A, Z would be way down toward Wyoming. And I started looking it up, and all of a sudden I got to Arizona, and I found out we don't have a state mineral. I said, well, this is really weird. You got the largest gem and mineral show in the world here, and you don't have a state mineral. We have a state metal, copper. We have, for jewelry, we had turquoise, but we did not have a state mineral. 47 states had state minerals, but not Arizona. So I lobbied the legislature, and I wrote the legislation to make wolfenite the state mineral. Beautiful specimen. You'll find them in museums everywhere in the world. It's one of the most desirable specimen in the hands of collectors all over the world. So we now have a state mineral. And here's an example from an article on meteorites, okay? This is the Meteorite Times magazine. It says the University of Arizona Mineral Museum is a must-see attraction when you're in Tucson, especially if you're attending the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show. And you see these accolades about Tucson and its climate and the shows and how many shows there are and et cetera in every single publication related to the earth sciences. Now, do you know the economic impact this show has here? It's extraordinary. This was a survey done in 2019, and it showed that in a span of 3 weeks, $131 million was spent here. Just think of that. And that's money that stays here in Pima County, in Tucson. And it's an extraordinary amount of money, but it really doesn't tell you the true impact that this has from a much larger perspective. There are some shows here, and there were at that year 52 shows going on over that 3-week period. And some of them, like if you go over the Westward Look, there's a show that will start in a few weeks, and only lasts a few days. You see people flying in with private jets from around the world. They go over directly to the Westward Look. They will see the specimen that somebody showed them a picture of, described to them, and they may shake hands on it, and they go right back to the airport. And you just watched a $15 million transaction, or an $8 million, or a $5 million, or a $2 million, or just, no, it didn't look as good when I actually see it as what I saw in the picture, but if you see something else again, give me a call, and they went back to the airport. Those kind of shows are right here, but we don't really get any tax revenue out of that. And why is that? Because I assure you, if we charge taxes here in Arizona on a $15 million transaction, imagine what he has to write on that invoice in terms of, and tax what that amount might be. So those transactions are handled outside the state of Arizona, and I don't know how they're doing it today, whether with crypto or, through the Bahamas or wherever, but it is something for us to begin to realize that sometimes when we charge at retail, it can have quite an impact on what money stays here or money is not earned by the state of Arizona in our own community. This gives you an idea of the 48 shows that they were able to get to during those few weeks out of the 52 that are open to the public, and some are trade restricted. So the Color Stones shows, this is where the Tiffany's and others show up of the world. This is at the convention center. It lasts several days. And this is a show where you have to have credentials that have to be provided in advance that shows that you are transacting at least $250,000 in business in colored stones. And once you have evidence of that in your business, you are allowed to come there and see that show. That's not open to the public. Then there are shows such as what Alan Norville and Alfie Norville started many years ago, right across the street from that show, which you can get into if you have appropriate credentials and if you know somebody who would help you to get in there. And that show, it's amazing to see. There may be as much as several hundred vendors in there from all around the world who come to this show. And it's extraordinary what you see. And by the way, I would like you just to know that my guest here is Mr. Alan Norville, whose wife, Alfie Norville, and I will tell you the reason why we acknowledge her at the University of Arizona Museum, but he's my guest here. And Alan, I'm so glad to see you, that you're here. I met Alfie Norville about 30 years ago, and Alfie at that time was confronted with a problem that we were going to have here about this greatest show in the world. A lot of people wanted to move out of Tucson. They did not want to come to Tucson again. There was travel issues. You have to fly into Phoenix, then you have to take another flight. There were insufficient number of rental cars available. There were not enough hotel rooms for the number of guests that were showing up by the tens of thousands. So they were thinking of moving it to either Phoenix or to Las Vegas, Nevada. Alfie almost single-handedly went to everybody and said, please stay here in Tucson. I'm not kidding you. She worked so hard. And Alan, I didn't even know Alan at all. I had no idea who Alan was or what he did or anything, but I knew what Alfie had done. And when the discussion came up that we want to move the museum from the basement of the university campus to a new facility, Alan was the first one to come up with this idea, well, why don't we just build a brand new museum? And just at that very thought, when he had already started developing architectural plans for that, just across the street on his property, all of a sudden we got the offer that we have the Old Pima County Courthouse available. And we looked at approximately a $20 million expenditure to do all the necessary American Civil Disabilities Act requirements, all bringing everything up to code, and et cetera. And it also an extraordinary historic building. And by the way, in 1922, they started building it. They laid the foundation for it. And it was going to have every single administrator in this community would be in that building. If you were superintendent of schools, you were going to be there. You were the mayor there, the police chief there, the county sheriff there. Everybody would be in that building. Well, unfortunately, after World War I, there was no money left for the mining community because they didn't need more copper and they didn't need more wolfenite, which has molybdenum in it, which hardens steel to build, all of the aircraft carriers and things of that nature that were needed. So they ran out of money. And in 1926, the income started improving in the county, and in 1927, they started construction. In 1928, it opened up. And it opened up with a jail on the 3rd floor. So the reason, again, everything was going to be consolidated into this one building. And when you put a jail on the 3rd floor, you better put very good foundations down. And it happened to be that the foundation was cured for 6 years before the construction started. And by that time, it provided a fantastic foundation for this building. So when they looked at the building and brought structural engineers in there, guess what they found? This building's fantastic, it doesn't have a crack in it. For that very reason. And as a result, it seemed like it was very feasible. We got the go-ahead from the regents with the University of Arizona support, and of course, strong support by the county and the city. And little by little, we got the building built, and it opened up on July 21st, 2021. You have to see this museum, because not only am I encouraging you, the thousands of people who have seen it worldwide have said it's one of the best museums that anybody has put together in the world. It's not so much that it's big, but the quality of the specimens in there. And for you men and ladies that are thinking about, taking somebody there, I want you to know, ladies, the jewelry section, which we call the vault that you will see in there, you will not believe the gemstones and jewelry that's in there, because it not only has great colored stones and diamonds and all of that, but the best jewelry makers in the world, the designers who have won the top awards in the world, have all donated specimens that are exhibit in there. We wait till you see it, it's fantastic. So you also see that, look at the buyers. You have 208,000 buyers come in town. You have from 42 nations. In fact, I will tell you, I've actually had to do some fundraising and things on the campus when these shows go on. We had 119 countries is what I came up with. So this just gives you an idea how global Tucson is on the world map. And you see how much they spend, how many, look at that, 281,000 room nights, 27 million just on food and beverages, 89 million on direct expenditures. This is what people spend while they're here for a few weeks, just going into malls and shops and things of that nature. And we also ask the buyers and exhibitors who are here in Pima County, what are you going to do while you're here? 45% do sightseeing, they visit attractions, they visit family, friends, retail, shopping, hiking, gambling, and 9 out of 10 who work the shows as sellers say they will be back within 2 years to actually find time to enjoy this community. So you see the impact continues. In addition to that, where do you think all these incredible stones and objects and sculptures and everything that you find in all these different shows go? They don't send them back to Germany or to Africa or to Asia or to Australia. They keep them right here in the community for next year's show. And so what's starting now is around Labor Day, we're starting another Tucson show for mineral. And this last year, they had 16 shows, and we expect maybe 16 to 20 shows will open. Another thing that's happened is many of the dealers who would only come once a year for the show have now opened up retail or wholesale places here, bought property. So they're buying buildings, buying warehouses now in this community, so that now the Tucson Gem and Mineral Show is really going on all year long, and people flying in all the time. They finally, let's say you're an interior designer, you're preparing a new skyscraper in Chicago. Well, where are you going to get some of the objects that they want to put in the building? You come to Tucson, and you will find geodes from Uruguay and Brazil that are 30, 40 feet tall that you can put in the lobby to impress people when you walk into a building, or a new house, or a multimillionaire or billionaire who's looking for things of this nature. You come to Tucson for it. We have it right here, year-round now. That's the old Flandreau Center where we started. It used to be in a basement, and the basement would be about half as big as this room. That's what all you could see of the collection. So 45,000 items were never seen by the public, only what you could do, and occasionally they would rotate that. Today we have now and that was on the ground, that was the basement, this is on the ground floor. For lack of space, they would put exhibits together. So the one on the right, for example, was all the mineral specimens from China type of thing, went on for a few months, then they would change it to some other topic. Here's the historic, beautiful Spanish revival architecture of this magnificent building we have downtown. And it's right down there, and I want to give particular acknowledgement to Poster, Frost, and Mirto, who are Tucson architects who did an incredible job on this building. Remember, you're trying to secure and protect millions of dollars worth of specimens. How do you do that in a historic building where you can't do anything to the outside of the building? So all of the challenges of how do we keep somebody from even thinking of trying to steal something in this museum and do it in a way that protects all of these precious items. And they did it. And a lot of construction had to go on. This was when we were still working on the building. I was the vice chair for the museum at that time, for the advisory board on developing the inside, and that's what we started off with. And it's absolutely beautiful. That's Dr. Robert Downs, or Bob Downs, if you know his name, professor of mineralogy in the geoscience department. By the way, he's the one that runs the controls from his office on the 4th floor in the geoscience department that tells the rover on Mars where to dig. And then they, on that rover, which he developed, the software, is they have the Raman analysis and the X-ray diffraction, and they can tell you exactly what we're finding on Mars. So if you wonder, how did we figure out there was water up there? That's the man who helped do that. And all that data comes back to the department, and they translate that for NASA and for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And by the way, they found a specimen on Mars. We had never seen it except one place in the world. You won't believe it. We looked at that. We made sure it was accurate. The only place we've ever seen that was downtown Los Angeles. The only place where that mineral had ever been found. It was also found on Mars. So that's what our discoveries are helping us to learn about. How is that neighboring planet similar to our planet? Here's the end of the creation. This is where we develop This is a recreation of what happened in Bisbee when they discovered fantastic specimens of copper, and that's what it looks like today. That's the courtyard. Now it provides social opportunities, weddings, and all kinds of things are going on there. And the museum is right there in the corner. And that's a beautiful building. And thank you very much for your interest in the museum. Thank you. Any questions?
Any quick questions, yes or no questions? Any questions? Oh, no. No questions.
Okay, very good.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you, Alex. I do have a book for you to sign, Alex, all about rocks and minerals, and this is going to go into our Make Way for Book library. And you stole my notes, but that's okay. And if anybody questioned whether or not he actually lived in Tacoma, you know the moment he pronounced Puyallup correctly, you know that he lived in Western Washington. That's for sure. Is that right, Alex? Yes, exactly. Next, we have no birthdays today because there's no place to have birthday people up here. No, just kidding. That's not the case. We get to introduce a couple new members. First, I'd like to welcome up Margaret Higgins, who joined our club September 7th, 2005. Yes, you can start coming up. Close. Her classification, community social services, substance abuse treatment, retired from the Haven, and she went to the University of Arizona. And you may remember, she was our president just not too long ago. So she's a past president, Margaret, our president last year, and you get to introduce a new member.
Oh, yay, great.
Don't groan, everybody, but I really am going to forego my joke, which... Instead, I'm going to thank Alex for that nice talk. It was seamless. There was nothing rocky about it at all. In fact, it was a gem of a talk.
Okay. You're introducing a new member.
Shush,
Okay, yeah,
shush.
that's good.
Not only that, but I bought this jacket at the gem show, so there you go. It gets a lot of comment. But I'm in... Thank you for the reminder.
I'm here for you.
I'm introducing Dwayne Whitaker, and I've noted down that he is no less, he is a farm boy, he really is. He was born in Iowa on a farm without indoor plumbing or electricity. You have to wonder how old he actually is, but you know. He went to school in a one-room schoolhouse called Washington No. 4, and that was in the middle of a cornfield. On a skills test, he had to say if he was rural or urban, but no slouch, he was not entirely dull at all. He knew he was clearly rural. Until moving into a town of 600 residents, he chose urban as his demographic. We have to admit it's all a matter of perception, isn't it? And after undergrad at the University of Iowa, he planned to enter grad school, but instead he was promptly drafted into the Army. He was commissioned as a lieutenant in the infantry, and while in Vietnam, he was the infantry platoon commander of 40 troops and a mortar squad. He led missions in the jungle for 15 to 30 days at a time and was awarded the Bronze Star with Oak Leaf Cluster for valor. Back home, he entered grad school at the UofA, while also working on the graveyard shift as a psychiatric orderly at the original Pima County Hospital in South Tucson, which in the 70s was at the geographic center of drug trade in southern Arizona. Psych ward, graveyard shift in the heart of drug territories. He must have some fabulous tales to tell. Then his boss, who was also professor of psych at the UofA College of Medicine and director of a large outpatient psych clinic, hired him. Now, after 3 years and no college-level math course under his belt, Dwayne completed his med school prereq in 12 months. Then he was admitted to the UofA College of Medicine, where he graduated from med school in 3 years rather than 4. Then he was promoted to faculty after 2 years of postgrad training rather than 4 years. Speedy Gonzalez or natural superiority? Which one do we think? As professor and director, he trained 27 Mohs surgeons and several hundred med students and residents. He was honored with the presidency of 3 national medical organizations. He's been married to Linda for 54 years. She's a registered nurse, a librarian, research archivist, and president of the Historical Society. 2 cats, no children. They've traveled considerably in their careers. And despite being partially retired, he teaches and performs surgery at Banner University Medical Center several days a month, and he volunteers for hospice work. He was an active member of the Rotary Club of Bainbridge Island, WA, which in my language is Western Australia. In your language, it may well be Washington, for around 10 years, and just this past year, he transferred his membership to Tucson, where he is now in the best Rotary club in the US. Let's give a resounding welcome to Dwayne.
Thank you all, and thank you very kindly. Margaret, I'm glad you didn't fall asleep while she was reading that. You deserve credit. It's great to be here. As she mentioned, I have considerable experience in Rotary elsewhere. I love Rotary, and I don't have to be convinced that I am now in the best one. So thank you again for the kind welcomes that I've had. Thank you very much.
This for you. Okay. You want to pose for a picture? There's
The photographer.
We got it? Okay.
Well, thank God for that. Over to you now, mate. After you.
Well, I think past President Margaret has missed the microphone a little bit. We have another new member. They did thoroughly.
That was the most 3-minute, 1 minute I've ever heard in my life.
Welcome up, Gary Hirsch, joined our club July 23rd, 2008, consulting business services, the Leader's Edge coaching and consulting. You went to the Evergreen State College from the great state of WA, Washington, not Western Australia. Gary?
Thank you, sir. So Chris said I only have 25 minutes to do this introduction.
You go, Gary.
So I'm really pleased to be able to introduce Tim Gronke to our club. I've known Tim probably for 10 years or so. He did graduate from the right school. Tim graduated from the University of Arizona, although with a degree in economics. And so I'm not sure, Tim, it's just your luck to have to follow a doctor and a surgeon, someone who graduated medical school when they were 8. In 2008, Tim went to Hawaii to take a job in the solar industry, which he still works in today. And for some reason, in 2015, a company in Tucson convinced him to come back from Hawaii to work in business development for a solar company called Solar Gain. And today, Tim is actually vice president of that company, overseeing about 120 employees. In this role, he's really passionate about growing people and growing teams. He's passionate about golf. We know we have a golf fellowship, and Tim is aware of it. And we know it's important in this club. He's passionate about golf. He's passionate about hot yoga. Anyone here do hot yoga? Anyone here do it 5 times a week? One person. All right, Tim, you got company. Related to his career, he has a passion for what he calls the electrification of America. Now, they're a solar company. The idea being that each of us in our home having the ability to generate the electricity we need in a distributed way that makes the whole system a lot more reliable. He's coached youth sports. He's played basketball, baseball, football, and he helps us lower the average age in this club by quite a bit. I asked him why he joined Rotary. He said Rotary was the ideal opportunity I had been searching for to get more involved with and have a chance to give back to our Southern Arizona community. I work with their company, and I can tell you, Tim has been talking about joining Rotary ever since I've known him, so it's nice to finally get him in this club. He says service over self is something that's always resonated with me, and I enjoy being around a like-minded group of people. He's already a member of our business roundtable, making contributions to other folks in the club. Please join me in welcoming Tim Grunke. Minutes is all you get.
Noted. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and our guests for today. I will be very quick here. I'm honored to be a part of this group. Gary, thank you so much for your mentorship and your sponsorship here. Jimmy Wood, I don't know if he's here, but he's my official mentor, so thank you, Jimmy, and anybody else that's made me feel very welcome. I look forward to striving to do my part to make this the best Rotary Club in the world, and definitely the U.S. So thank you all for the great welcome.
One more?
Cool. Well done, guys.
Thank you. Good job, Guido. Do you want your notes?
Sure.
Can I keep them? No? You got them? Next, we have a couple blue badge presentations. Steve Pickering, ready to go?
Ready to go. President Curtis Dawson, fellow Rotarians and guests, the blue badge is a transition from your red badge as a new member. And Bill Tong is receiving his blue badge today because he had fulfilled all of his requirements from being a new member. He's very active in the car show. He's been helping out with the community food bank and also with the road cleanup that was not too long ago. So it's my pleasure today to give the blue badge to Bill Tong.
Congrats, Bill. And I'm going to welcome already up, Charlotte Harris for a blue badge and a Paul Harris presentation. Charlotte?
Thank you. It's my honor to present Dorvita Parker with her blue badge. I have to tell you, when Larry Adamson introduced her as a new member, she had already completed her responsibilities to get her blue badge. So please welcome Dorvita. Thank you. Oh, you want a picture? Thank you. And I'd like to welcome Lisa and Eric back up here. Today we come closer to a world of peace and understanding through the presentation of today's Paul Harris Fellow Award. Donations to our International Rotary Foundation are not only important, but have power, as they buy precious polio vaccine, help deaf children to read, plus many other significant humanitarian and educational projects throughout the world. Our recipients today are receiving their first Paul Harris Fellow and are wearing the new pins and have received their certificates. I'm especially honored to recognize today's recipients as they are new members to our clubs, all having joined just last year in 2024. And they recognize the importance of being part of an international organization and providing both local, community, and international community support. Our first recipient is Dorvita Jewel Parker, a second-generation family member of our club. She graduated from Prairie View A&M University, Prairie View, Texas. She received a dual degree in accounting and finance in 1985 and received her master's degree in business administration in 2004. She's been working in government contracting, accounting, finance, compliance, and auditing for over 38 years. In 2019, she became the president and CEO of JP Industries Incorporated, which her father founded in 1995. A nonprofit organization that provides custodial services to include landscaping and floor cleaning that provides for cleaning for government installations in southern Arizona. Her company hires people with significant disabilities, disabled veterans, and non-disabled veterans to give them a better quality of life, which has grown since 2019 from 130 to 252 employees. Her motto is, quote, "Success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success." If you love what you're doing, you will be successful, unquote. The reason Dorvita supports Rotary International programs is because she feels that making a difference in millions of lives around the world, promoting peace, preventing disease, supporting education, bolstering economic development, and providing clean water and sanitation will bring about a lasting impact in the communities and change the lives for the better. Our second recipient is Lisa Stanton, who retired from the airport management industry in 2018 after a 30-plus year career in airport consulting and airport management. Her last role serving as Chief Operating Officer of the Sacramento International Airport. Despite relocating to Tucson in 2020, she remains active as a volunteer for the Capitol Air Show Group, a nonprofit producing the California Capitol Air Show. Although no longer on that board of directors, Lisa continues serving as chair of the organization's scholarship committee and helping out each year on the ground prior to the show. She is the mother of 2 daughters, Cassandra, who resides in Sacramento area, and Lauren, who lives here in Tucson with her husband and fellow Rotarian Jim Wood Jr., who we all know as that ASU guy. Lisa is very proud of her 4 grandchildren. Corporal Dylan Barrett, U.S. Marine Corps Security Services, Lucas Barrett, high school senior and sworn U.S. Marine Corps recruit, Madison Wood 10, Reese Wood 8, who are full of smiles and share a passion for dance. When asked why she supports Rotary and national programs, Lisa replies, "I feel so blessed to have had the opportunities I've had in life, so supporting Rotary International is a no-brainer way to give back to a meaningful way." Our third recipient is Eric Lamb, who was born and raised in Southern California. He moved to Tucson originally in 1990 to attend the UofA, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in finance with an emphasis in real estate. He also met his wife, Camille, there, and they have been married for 29 years. Following their graduation, they moved to Los Angeles but returned to Tucson permanently in 1996. They have 2 children, Maximilian, who is 20, a sophomore at Pima Community College, and Emiliana, who is 17, a senior at Catalina Foothills High School. As a family, they have been very blessed to live next door to Camille's parents for the past 20 years in the house where Camille's grandparents lived while she was growing up. Eric is a partner at Vast Commercial Real Estate Associates, LLC, and serves as the assistant manager for an 11-property medical office portfolio, as well as the business manager. Eric has maintained an active volunteer life over the past 25-plus years, first as a big brother at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Tucson for 2 little brothers, then as treasurer and president of the board. He served as president and treasurer of the Tucson Waldorf School Board when his children were there. When asked, "Why do you support Rotary International programs?" Eric responds, "I've only been involved with Rotary for several months at this point, but I've had multiple opportunities to participate with the good people of the Rotary Club of Tucson, doing good things for our community. Supporting good people, doing good things is a worthy investment to me." So please join me in thanking and congratulating our 3 newest Paul Harris Fellows.
Hey folks, I have a raffle for those of you guys that participated. So pull out your tickets. We've already pulled the winning ticket number, and here goes. 783170 is the winner. Did I hear a yes?
Yes.
Where's the yes?
I think that was just.
Oh, that people are just like. Yeah, 170. No, 170.
Yep, no, it's got that too.
Oh, there we go. Paul Harris Fellow and recipient of $25, and not the big pot because it was 6 of clubs was called, so you'll get $25 in my pocket. Back to you, President Curtis.
So we'll try to bring this home quickly because we are running short on time, but the events are emailed out. They're at your table. They're on the screen. One that I want to point out is next Wednesday, we do not have a meeting. We are having a social at Charovita, which is on North Oracle. Delicious food. Encourage you to go. But if you want to go, you got to sign up. So make sure you sign up online. We do have some Red Badge member selfies. So we have Is that past President Bob Logan? It is past President Bob Logan. That is amazing. With Chushi and Ricky, and then we have Diana Medeiros with Ricky Hunley, and Elle and Dorvita, who no longer is a red badge. She is a blue badge now. And then Randy Schultz and Dave White. And then we also have Jake Blumenthal with Phil Goot, Joe DeChatelet, and we have Fa and Tim there. And then we have Lisa and Eric, who were just up here getting their Paul Harris. So encourage you, red badge members, blue badge members. Blue badge member, if you see a red badge, take a selfie with them, introduce yourself, make a connection, make sure those red badge members feel welcome to the club. Next, we have where is Wilbur? Wilbur went to Aspen, Colorado with Ricky and Janine. Wilbur also went to on a Caribbean cruise with Bonnie and Mitch and Bonnie Pizik. Told you I didn't get a lot of sleep the other night, so just be patient with me. Sorry, Mitch. I pronounced them all correctly. I just, left you out the first time. You matter, Mitch. You matter. It's okay. Encourage you. Remember, I am an adequate president. So just don't have high expectations because I'm only going to be adequate. Encourage everyone, every Rotarian every year to give to the Rotary International Foundation. We do have a Happy Jackson. I think Mr. Lubinsky's in the room.
There it is.
There's Jim.
Take it away, Jim.
Happy to announce that on December 17th, we welcomed our second grandchild, Dominic Jeffrey Lubinsky. And he joins his older sister, Cecilia, and we're heading up there on Friday to Thornton, Colorado, for his baptism. So great being a grandparent times 2.
Please give him that stuffed animal right there.
Congrats, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
And Jeannie Zita.
And I'm delighted to introduce to you our newest Interact Club that our club is sponsoring, the Pima. All right, we'll try this again. So I would like to introduce to you Scott Weiler, who is the club advisor at Pima JTED, and we have our first Interact Club there, and he's going to actually introduce the 3 students that are here with him and their various roles in their Interact Club and tell about a few projects he'd like our help with.
Thank you very much. Just so you know, I was a Rotarian myself in '99 and 2000 at the club in Nacogdoches, Texas. So I know all about this, and I think you guys do wonderful things. I'm also very proud to say that my building at Pima JTED on South Park in the 10 has Rotary of Tucson right on the side of the building. So that's what inspired me to actually contact you all to start an Interact chapter, because I thought, if you're going to have your name on the building, you might as well have a club to do the wonderful things you do. First, I have Carlos Trujillo. He is a student. In the daytime, he goes to Desert View, but he comes to my class. I teach robotics and automation at Pima JTED. So he's one of my nighttime students. Then I have Isabella Hamamoto. She's one of my second-year students also in robotics and automation. And Karina Vasquez. She's now one of my night students, but also does the daytime classes through Innovation Tech on the same campus. Besides my automation and robotics, she's also into pharmacy tech. So she's got that going on. So they're my wonderful students, and I'm very proud of them. So thank you. They also, Isabella and Karina, you both went to the RILA camp as well. So they got wonderful stories if you catch them before they have to run away. To be brief, we have a Girl Power in Science and Engineering program. We're bringing in 150 middle school girls onto our campus to meet women in STEM. If you have anybody, please come that you think would be a great mentor or a school that would like to participate, send the message through the grapevine to me. We have a brick fundraiser. We're laser engraving bricks. You can either have the brick or you can have it placed into our eventual display in front of our school. If you are interested in robotics, automation, engineering, or any tech field, feel free to reach out to me for being a guest speaker. And of course, we could always use donations. For instance, we're sending a group of our students to Disneyland in February. We're going to get a behind-the-scenes tour of how they automate and animatronics for all the systems in Disneyland. So it's kind of a really cool deal. We also do internships where our students come to your place of work, find out what you do. And then I also run a 3-week-long summer camps for middle school students to learn more about what we do in our program. So that's the quick version of what we do. Feel free to come up and talk to me at the end. I'll stick around for a little bit. So if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. We do love JTED, and we loved raising a bunch of money and supporting that building so that could happen. Thank you all to our guests that are here today. If you want to learn more about the club, please stick around. We'd love to tell you more about it. Please support. The cups aren't there, but there's going to be a QR code. Nope, there isn't a QR code. Support the scholarships that we do for Pima Community College and UofA. Remember, sign up online. We do not have a meeting next week. If you show up at the TCC, we will not be there. But sign up, Charro Vita, next Wednesday. Alan, so great to see you. Thank you for coming today. Next time you come, we'll be at the TCC, so it'll be a lot closer to your office, much easier for you to attend. Thank you, Alex, for the program today, and thank you for pronouncing Puyallup correctly. That was well done. Sorry. Welcome to the club, Dwayne and Tim. Congratulations on your blue badges, Bill and Dorvita. Congrats on your Paul Harris's, Lisa, Dorvita, and Eric. Okay, we're almost done here. And then finally, next week, no lunch meeting, Charro Vita. Our next meeting after that, the 12th, is events around town. If you want to host one of the lunches, please let myself or Dorina know where, when, and the number of people, and we'd love for you to host one of those lunches. And then finally, to toast and adjourn, what we've all been waiting for, Jeff Ronstadt.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This one will be a lot cleaner than the last one. So, everybody raise a glass. Here's to all the meetings we'll never remember, with all the friends we'll never forget. Hear, hear.
Here, here.